This is not a test. Now is the time to panic. First up, the celebrities raising awareness about psychosis from not eating carbs.
You have been the light of the day. You are such a gift.
You brought such light into the room.
Next, our holiday shopping top picks of items you won't use. In Syria, we take a look into which terrorist group the U.S. just backed for a smidgen of chaos before Putin returns. And for those not sure what side to root for, our terror watchdog points out that the rebels are the ones smashing the booze. Next, AOC being flaunted as a frontrunner for the Democrats in 2028, with leading strategists saying she's the only person with a better range of black sense than Kamala Harris. While donors are stating that it's too early to get excited for something that will never happen, with other heads of the DNC party pointing out that maybe it's time to reorganize and back a non-moron.
It's your daily dose of misinformation, pulled from a lightly hemorrhoided asshole. It's today's Run Your Mouth!
Are you sick of other companies trying to poison your dog? You've watched your dog lick the toilet bowl and other dogs' anal warts, but suddenly it ate the pet food and it's low energy? Do you want your old dog back that was full of energy and didn't act like a toddler on fluoride? Try our unneutered mix for the full spectrum extra strength dogs with all of their bark back. Marty's unneutered dogs.
Tell you what you gotta do. Don't you listen to them unless you think it's true. Follow your heart and your dreams. Follow your heart and your dreams. Woo.
Careful sniffing farts up the escalator, please. What is up, everybody? Welcome to a late night edition of the Run Your Mouth podcast. For those wondering why we are running so late, it's because my friend Steven sent me a little too much of the energy drinks. I've been getting after it, and someone's got to make all these sales stops. Have you guys been punching in trades on just shit that you will never use and going, oh my God, that's 50% off. Now I can afford that. I can afford to replace my bed. I can afford to replace this. You know, and then sometimes you go, I wasn't going to buy that, and it just follows you around line. You try and shop for other things, and it just keeps standing there right on the side going, you know, you could buy this for even less than yesterday, and you'll never be able to afford it again. But luckily, Cyber Monday's over, and we can get back to work. We don't have to pay attention to these sales anymore. Did you guys get suckered by that? You know, when it used to be you had to go to a store and you had to fight your neighbors. I didn't get involved, but then when they brought the savings and discounts right to my door, I had too much Jew in me to ignore that. We are not doing an episode tomorrow because I'm doing the Zach and Lewis show, the Lewis and Zach show, what was previously the Real Ass Podcast. Still trying to get out there and promote my special. Always it's fun hanging out with Lewis and Zach. So, you know, we rallied. I did part of the problem earlier today. I got home. I put together that blessed intro, and now it's 10 p.m. and we are making things happen. All right, one other thing. I know I forgot that I don't mean to be going up against the bathhouse. Big fan of Danny Polachek. We actually hung out. We went to the Capitol Theater this past weekend. We saw Dogs in a Pile in Eggy. It was a good time. And speaking of prices, you know, I really respect whatever committee gets together at the concert hall that beers will always be at holy shit prices. You really got to respect. It's like no matter how much you carved out, all right, this is the one concert I'm going to go to. I don't need a pregame, and I'm an adult. I don't have kids. I'm working 3 jobs. I can afford a beer, and then it's like $20 for a single double can. You're like, what the fuck is this? You know, they're going to end up losing the pregame war. There's a lot of situations that I get in, and I hope that other people will create a problem. I don't want to be the person to create a problem. I want to stand comfortably in the corner and observe other people creating a problem. That's what I want to be. But I would like to somehow provoke other people to cause more problems. And it was like the same as COVID, you know? I didn't show up to your store and demand that you let me in. I didn't fake it with the COVID card. I stayed home and screamed on the internet and I hoped that other people, I did my part in the protest. I educated people. And on the same note, I'd like to educate people that, you know, it's on you to pregame and start overdosing at the concert halls. Because if they're going to jack up the prices to what none of us can afford, and they're going to be checking our shoes, that you got no choice but to do all the drugs while you're outside of the venue, everyone's got to step it up and start doing so much drugs that we're all just clawing at the side of the wall like rats trying to get into an apartment, just feeling the walls. You need people passing out, going down to the bathrooms, throwing up in their seats. We need people to be doing so many drugs going into these concert halls that the promoters sit there and go, I think we got to lower the beer prices. I think people are pre-gaming a little bit too hard. That's where we're getting it. Now listen, I don't want to be the person to pass out, shit my pants, and throw up at a concert venue. I want to do that when I get home. You know, you want to do just enough so that happens when you get home. That's the way I like to operate. But if I can incentivize some of the kids out there, the people that still have youthful legs, that could be causing this kind of chaos, have it roll off them. If you guys, if all the kids at home listening to this could start pre-gaming concerts harder, I'm sorry, guys, we're in a new media landscape. I'm getting a note from my lawyer. It says, and you got to say this as resentfully as possible, the Run Your Mouth program does not encourage drug usage unless it's from one of our sponsors. And please be safe and responsible at all times because as a note from the lawyer, we don't want to incentivize anyone. Firstly, no one underage should be listening to the show whatsoever. And the lawyer's pointing out that these are jokes, and I'll work on reading these more resentfully. But it's a new media landscape. You know, if the lawyer note comes in, you got to read it. It's the way it goes. All right, let's get into the news because we've got a lot to discuss. And, you know, we had a producer meeting today, so I'm fully confident that our sound is going to work. We got some new people on the team that came with some great credentials on live streaming specifically. Believe me, I went through a lot of producers and I interviewed quite a few people and I said, I can't have you here unless you're exceptional at live streams. And I think I got the right guy. So, you know, I think it's going to be smooth flowing today. And listen, we're going to be doing deep dives later in the episode on this Kash Patel character, on the Joe Biden pardoning his kid. And before that, let's start with this. I said it briefly on the Part of the Problem podcast because it was on my mind going all the way back to last week. And we covered so much ground last week, I never even mentioned it. But I think we need to, amongst the reorganizations that should exist in government, and I've proposed some simple solutions over the year. Jarring your farts was one of them. That was a pretty good solution to get around this carbon problem. But I think government, you shouldn't be allowed to run a deficit at all. I think that should be in the Constitution. And you know what else should be in there? Is that once you're voted out from office, that's your last night there. You get one night to party in the Oval Office, and if you're voted out, you're done for. Goodbye, sayonara. There should be no gap in time between when you're voted out and when you leave. You shouldn't get an opportunity to trash the place. If you're going to pardon people, it should be before the election so everyone knows who and why you pardon people. And you should not get this grace period where you leave office and you go, you know what, fuck it. Let's escalate towards World War III. And let's make sure that everybody that I wanted to get a handout gets their handout. You know, I'm still going to be alive for about 3 more months. I'm like a grandparent that got visited twice from these companies. I don't remember that I gave my kid $40 and that he visited me twice in 2 days because he's got a drug problem. I don't remember these things. And so Joe Biden, he doesn't even remember who he gave all the handouts to, but he still thinks that this money's coming for him. He didn't run enough money through the Ukraines, through the Burisma, through his child that he just pardoned, and so they made sure that he himself can't get prosecuted probably as well. Wanted to make sure that old Hunter didn't rat out his dad, because you can't trust drug addicts. I mean, they're good at a lot of things, but you can't trust that they're gonna be loyal. That the guy in the room isn't going to offer him some crack and then he's just going to start talking. You can't trust these people on these things. And so I think We need to reorganize. We need to restructure. And one of the changes should be once you're voted out from office, that's it. Boom, out the door. But you get one night. You get one good night to party. You should get one good night to party. One good night to party, and then you're out. And you should be able to throw a pretty good party. And maybe like they should even be coming in the next day and coming into the mess of you guys waking up from the hangover and they open up the, all right, you can have another day. I'll give you another day. So maybe you get 2 days. But it shouldn't be any more than that. You can eat one last ice cream sundae. You can use the presidential bathroom. And then you got to get out of here. And whatever other sneaky arrangements you were trying to take from the public purse, you at least got to do that before we have the opportunity to vote you out. And I get it, in second terms, once you come to the end of your second term, you got more of an opportunity for the shenanigans as it comes to the end. But this, I think they call it the lame duck period. No more lame ducks. I want exciting ducks. That's stupid. Anyways, let's read. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Some of the handouts Joe Biden is making sure to do as he's out the door. I don't think it's worse than trying to escalate the Ukraine situation, but here, let's read some of the handouts Joe Biden is throwing out there for the people. Let's start. With less than 2 months left in his term, Biden plans to pursue a laundry list of items, including funding weapons for Ukraine, pressing for stability in Gaza, and winning confirmations of roughly a dozen federal judges. The judicial confirmations could bring him close to 234 Trump accomplished during his first term. One of Biden's administration's most aggressive moves could come from the $400 billion clean energy lending program inside the Energy Department. You got to run more money through the windmills. Whatever he did so far was not enough. The Loan Program Office was turbocharged by the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act, which gave it extra funds to lend to clean energy businesses. That was the scam. I spoke about it early. You guys should have gotten in on my high carbon reducing trees. Biden administration officials fear a Trump administration could stop making loans for the program, which was largely dormant during Trump's first term. Hey, Trump's got a different agenda, which is let's just drill the energy and have the cost go down and have the energy we need and a possible economic boom. But, you know, I'm still trying to rob from the public purse and run money through these green energy things and see if I can get Larry Flint a little bit more. Anyways, the administration also wants to protect clean energy projects at ports around the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. In October, awarded nearly $3 billion to dozens of ports to invest in new solar arrays, decarbonized trucks, and other green equipment the agency hopes to complete. Those projects will never be completed. We all know what's going on here. It's the final robbing of the public purse before you leave and have your last 3 months in a chair with dementia. But now you got a kid who's not going to jail, so you got to make sure he's got money coming in. And U.S. officials are racing to deliver billions of dollars in manufacturing grants to Intel and others to complete a significant portion of the 2022 CHIPS Act to revive U.S. chip production before Biden leaves office. Who knows? Maybe in 20 years from now, we'll actually be able to read the story about what Biden's relationship was with Intel and these other chip manufacturers that he made sure that on the way out, $7.9 billion to help fund new chip plants, chip. They're not chimps. Chip plants in 4 states. Next up, and now here we can take a couple of quick comments. Gimp gladly, can we just pay politicians a lot more so they're less inclined to be corrupt, but also strip them of their natural rights while in office? I don't think paying them, I think they're greedy. I don't think paying them anymore is going to keep them from doing any of the shenanigans that they're all doing. Some quack. Pardoning Hunter seems like a cover-up story for the pedo he also pardoned. Yeah, you know, someone wrote that in the comments of Part of the Problem the other day. I thought it was a good point, and I hadn't considered it, where essentially they brought forward the gun charge and the tax thing that we all knew about, and as a result of the corruption of those cases, Biden goes, hey, those cases are so corrupt, I'm just giving a blanket pardon, which then gets him off the hook for any potential pedophilia, which they've been claiming for years, but didn't bring any charges in that regard. And then whatever corruption might have led back to Hunter was never truly investigated. I mean, to Joe was never truly investigated. But now he's got his full pardon, and so he's off the hook. And so I guess we'll never look into these things. All right, let's take a look at some quick nonsense. And then, like I said, deep dives on the pardon and Kash Patel. First is Trump warns BRIC against dollar alternatives with tariff threat. And, you know, if Donald Trump is really going to do all these tariffs, we might need some Mexicans willing to work at low wages. Otherwise, you're not going to get both. I mean, if you want prices to not be going up and you're going to be doing a bunch of tariffs, and then you also want more goods being made in the U.S., you're probably going to need some of those Mexicans coming over that border. Bill Clinton reveals he couldn't sleep for 2 years, prone to outbursts of rage after Hillary lost to Trump. And was that Hillary losing to Trump, or was it with withdrawals from Epstein's Island being closed? And this is what's most interesting to me, and this is what makes doing this so important, is that you got to realize the demons, they like to be liked. I can't explain it, but for some reason, they like, if we don't like them, it actually upsets them. So don't think that you talking shit on the internet doesn't serve good in the world, because apparently it actually gets to these people. And I don't believe you think he was actually crying over this, or do you think he asked, hey, what, oh, you're supposed to love your life? There's a human emotion called crying? Yeah, let's write that into the book. Let's say that that's what was going on. Kamala Harris still begging for cash weeks after election loss, which that's got to be the most, hey, can I have a little bit more money? No, I won't be able to do anything for you, and there's no chance of winning, but can you settle that? It looks bad for everybody. If we don't, the entire Democratic Party is going to be at a loss if we just keep running with our debts. And then you've got Carville and others calling for a audit of what the hell Kamala Harris spent her money on. I'll believe it when I see it. That's never going to happen. It'd be great if it did. It'd be nice to see what they blew all the money on. We already got a picture of it, paying for a lot of those celebrity endorsements. Here's a fun one. Alleged Lake 6 tape of streamer Destiny and Nick Fuentes surfaces online. I reached out to the one gay friend I have who's bisexual, so, you know, he's somewhat tolerable, to confirm it, and I wasn't going to watch it. Maybe you guys watched it. I've been saying for a long time that Fuentes is a gay Mexican. I still stand by that he most likely is a gay Mexican, but I don't think he's so gay. Like that, I don't get the read on it. You know why? This is like a dirty level of gay. Like he strikes me as like a clean bottom, not a dirty top. And this seems like a dirty top activity to actually be with Destiny. That just seems too gross. Like, listen, I'm not a fan of Nick Fuentes, and I think he's a gay Mexican, but I don't think he's this level of. I think the little bit that he pretends to be Christian probably would prevent him from engaging. But he was willing to hang out with them. He was willing to play video games. Apparently, they went on an ice cream date. I mean, Destiny looks a little bit ashamed there. So, listen, I can't say for sure, and I wasn't going to watch the video, but this seems a little bit dirty, even from Nick Fuentes. And I bet if they were engaging in intercourse, it was just like, say you love Israel, say you hate Dave Smith, put it in me. All right. Next up, we've got Bobby Kennedy. You know, he's popping up all over the internet, taking off his shirt, which I hope he just shows up to every single press conference that he ever does, WWF style, no shirt on, just, I'm 8 seconds at the gym. You want to have pecs like this? And I hope that Trump just starts going, put a shirt on, Bobby. No one wants to see your old nipples. It's gross. We get it. You look good. No one cares. I eat McDonald's all the time. My wife's still better looking than your Cheryl Hines. And then I think we got one more news story, which is Jamie Foxx reveals truth about health crisis on Netflix special after Wild Diddy. And you know what? My next special, I'm just going to put some fake giant celebrity story in. These people do a much better job of promoting their stuff, going out and trashing everybody else and having juicy stories. The rumored story is that the reason why he was in the hospital was because Puff Daddy poisoned him, and that he then ratted out Puff Daddy to the FBI. I don't know if any of this is true. And apparently it's going to be in the special. What kind of details? Why haven't the details leaked? Why haven't we got more information about it? I mean, that's as juicy of a story as you can have, and then you just tease that it's going to be in your comedy special, which is I'm just letting you guys know, if you're out on the porch and you're hearing wild celebrity stories from me that aren't true, it's because I got to get more than 25,000 views on the next one, and I think my story will be about how because I have nightmares at night about why Gene Hackman can't get better pie. I've spoken about this before. I literally will wake me up in the middle of my Gene Hackman pie. Like, it upsets me. This guy was one of the greatest actors of all time. He was in incredible movies. What is going on that he can only eat gas station pie? You would think that this guy would have the best of the pies. And the story is going to be about how I saved Gene Hackman. He used to be the head of Hollywood and involved in all of the rings and what was going on in Hollywood and the depravity of Hollywood. And he was saved by gas station pie, which is such garbage food it actually cloaks you from the other lizard people and it releases you from their spell. And I was the one, I smoked mead with him once, and I introduced him to cheap gas station pie, and he had a moment of clarity as if he was on mushrooms, where he realized how we'd been overtaken by this corrupt system, and that as long as within every 24-hour period he had gas station pie within his system, he would then be freed, and the lizard people couldn't even see him anymore. It's a cloaking mechanism. And I have more details on the story, and you guys can catch it the next time I had a Porch Tour date, which, by the way, I've just added some new shows. You can go to the episode description. We've got one coming up in San Antonio. I think that's 12/21. I got some good comics on that one. And then on 12/20, I got a show coming up in East Rutherford, New Jersey, which is going to be stand-up, but a little bit, it's going to be what I do, but I'm having other comics coming out doing political jokes, topical jokes. We're going to do some mashups with other comics. We're going to take some topics from the audience, and then at the end of the show, we're going to respond to the biggest clips of the week. I think it's going to be a fun show format, and I don't have the link for that yet, but I will soon, and then hopefully that will be it's experimental. That's the first one we're doing, and I'm hoping to build that out as a monthly in New York. So episode description, grab some tickets. Trump threatens hell to pay unless Gaza hostages are freed before inauguration. We also talked about this on Part of the Problem, but my gut reaction when I read that one was it just feels like in Super Troopers with the we can't pull over any further. Can you imagine being a terrorist sitting in a tunnel and you're like, ah, shit, are they going to rebomb the buildings? Is he going to come over here, build them so that we feel good and then just rebomb them? Like, what are you going to do to us? I mean, we're terrorists. We've decided that we're going to engage in terrorism. And we know that there's ramifications for being terrorists, but we've decided that this is our lifestyle. We're living our truth as the most horrific people doing really horrific things. And we understand that there's consequences for doing the horrible things. So I don't really know if this is new information, letting them know that you will, I guess, bomb them even more. All right. And now let's get into our first deep dive of the episode. Who covers stories this fast? How many guys up in the chat just have the ADDs that I do, and you're like, this was the perfect amount of time spent on each one of those topics. I didn't get bored once. I didn't think that this thing was moving slow at all. We're moving at my pace right now. It's the late night, and we've got the long shot energy and endurance courtesy of Steven. I will be up all evening. All right. Kash Patel. Everyone's all excited about this one. I mean, this was like when Matt Gaetz almost was there for 3 minutes, and then they leaked some, and then they canceled people the way that they get rid of people. You got Kash Patel, and everyone's all excited about this Kash Patel. I never heard of no Kash Patel, and then you start getting flooded with all the Kash Patel information. And sometimes the more outrage there is over something, the more your spidey senses go up, and you're like, oh, is this actually a good thing? Because the typical cast of characters who are completely outraged by this are usually the indicator of something actually being good. Is that perfect? Is that a perfect system? Is that just a feedback loop of trying to be a contrarian douchebag? No. Oh, well, yes. I meant to say yes. That's exactly what it is. And that's why that's not a perfect metric, but sometimes it's a good first indicator. Sometimes it's a good first indicator if all the people that are usually outraged about something is of the opposite of opinion of you, and then they're super outraged about something. Usually sometimes a good indicator. Hey, there might be something actually good here. So you start getting interested. And so here was the first one. I saw this tweet. Breaking. This is from Wall Street Mav, which I think, do I normally even follow this guy? Whatever. Let's just go with it. Let's just go with it as factual. The staff in the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office of the FBI are threatening to resign if Kash Patel is confirmed as FBI director. You're talking about, so all the losers are just going to get up and leave? I'm supposed to be nervous that the thing that we're trying to root out of government and out of society, this DEI people, are so upset that they're just going to up and leave? Oh, no. Oh, no. The worst people. It's like if you had a neighbor that you hated and they're like, oh, if this other person moves into the building, we're leaving the neighbor. You're like, perfect. All right. Next up, we've got, this is Andrew McCabe, which it's wild to me that someone who is involved in Crossfire Hurricane not only has a job on CNN, but still gets to talk about this exact issue as if they're an expert on the FBI and how the FBI could be better and the way that the FBI is supposed to work. As people are out in the wild going, hey, I think there's like a deep state thing, and I think they undermined Trump the first time around. And then you get one of the characters that was involved in that racket still on CNN as the expert of the way that the FBI should operate. And so, as you could imagine, he's going to tell you that the guy who is opposing what he did and the guy who wants to look into what he did is probably unqualified for the job. And so here you have it. CNN likes hiring the deep state. It's just the other department of the same building. They got an underground tunnel and they got a little door there. You work at the CIA. Then you're no longer the charge of that, so you get to work here. You still report back. You still go into that office. You find out the information over there. You make sure they're reporting it on CNN. Sometimes you're a loyalist and you investigate the person who won the election, and so they give you the other job, the revolving door. And so here we go. Let's hear what Andrew McCabe, expert on the way the FBI should operate. Let's hear what he has to say.
And picked to head up the FBI.
So, Kate, it's a somewhat confounding pick. There's a whole conversation to be had about whether or not he's qualified for the job. I would argue he's clearly not. He doesn't have the experience and knowledge of the law enforcement community. Is a fairly undistinguished legal career. He doesn't really have a fraction of the qualifications that any former FBI director chosen by any president has. But that's really not my main concern. My main concern is what it says about Donald Trump's intention for the FBI and where Kash Patel might take the FBI if he's confirmed as director. And that all points in one direction, and that is back to the FBI's regretful history of acting as essentially the enforcement arm for the president's political activities. That's where we come from as an institution. That's who we were under our first director, J. Edgar Hoover. But it is something we've gotten away from in the last 50 years, the post-Watergate, post-Church Committee.
Or exactly what you did when you were there. But they're good liars. I mean, if they're good at one thing, and you got to respect one thing, is their ability to go on the news and accuse you of exactly what they did or what they are doing. And now here, this is from the Wall Street Journal, giving you some of the information about Patel and why people are outraged about the potential pick. Patel worked as a federal prosecutor and served in several senior national security roles. Sounds somewhat qualified so far. Experience is not uncommon in the background of an FBI director, but the antagonistic positions he has taken about the agency set him far apart from anyone who has served as its leader. Once again, doesn't sound discrediting to me, but let's continue. For one, Patel could bring an overtly partisan leadership style other officials within the Justice Department have long sought to avoid. He has said he wants to shrink the FBI and shut its Washington's headquarters, prosecute agents he considers corrupt, and take legal action against journalists he called traitors. The last one seems a little dicey. The rest of them all seem all right. His varied work history also includes business ventures under the logo Cash, selling pro-Trump merchandise. He is the author of provocative books, including one for children that pays homage to its hero, King Donald, which, that's how you play politics with Donald Trump, is you got to be out there as the world's biggest ass kisser. So we're only working with a couple pieces of information here. Firstly, world-class Donald Trump ass kisser, which is how you get positions with Donald Trump. You write a little kid book saying King Donald, and, that might actually catch Donald Trump's eye as, hey, this guy might be pretty good. But most of the other things, firstly, I don't really know what would make you qualified for the position, but these do sound like legitimate credentials. And the fact that he's saying, hey, I think we need to clean up the operation and and prosecute agents considered to be corrupt, which we've witnessed, such as that Andrew McCabe guy, doesn't sound horrible so far. And now here, if you guys are completely unfamiliar with him, I was watching a little bit of this video of him at CPAC. This is from a couple months back. And what seems promising about him is when he uses language such as, hey, we have to clean up the deep state, and he starts calling the government a mafia. Things that you don't normally hear from people that are going to be in government. Actually sounds like someone with some clarity about how the government operates and the need for someone to actually clean it up. So let's just listen to a little bit of the way he talks about government and about the FBI, because all of this rather promising if you have positions such as me. Let's give it a listen.
The coincidence is that the architects of Russiagate, The greatest conspiracy ever perpetrated against the American people are all making tens of millions of dollars together at a white shoe law firm in the United States of America. Good, identify the problem. It goes beyond Brennan, it goes beyond Clapper, it goes beyond Esper, it goes beyond Barr, it goes beyond so many people you've heard about from the Trump administration. And the only way we are ever going to break that logjam is if we don't accept their projection. They, the radical left, have told us we are the ones who hijack law enforcement agencies. Are we the ones that sent law enforcement into houses of worship? That was them. Are we the ones that told parents that you will be dictated the agenda for your children's education? That was them. But they did it in the name of America, and apparently since they have the mainstream media, they're getting away with it. And here's the kicker about the media. They serve an invaluable purpose in our constitutional republic until they fail us, which a large portion of them have. And there is no deep state, there are no government gangsters without some of their corrupt actors in the media who continue to print the lies about Donald Trump's success, about our movement, and about our America First.
So, with some real clarity, using language such as government gangsters, the deep state, the corrupt media, all things you're like, yeah, let's get that story out there. Let's, even if you don't get to clean it up, it's at least an improvement than just going, as the intelligence community has stated, how dare you criticize the intelligence community? It's at least a little bit more interesting to have a guy up there who's willing to criticize it and call attention to the fact that these agencies don't always work in our best interest. But then you also got this.
We will shut off the machinery that feeds money into Iran. We will no longer have 100 hostages still in captivity, Israeli and American and otherwise, by Hamas and Iran's Hezbollah mercenary forces. We need America to wake up and prioritize Israel and bring home Israelis and make sure we stand by our number one ally in Israel.
So you kind of get a mixed message there of a guy talking out against the deep state, but then swearing allegiance to, hey, Israel's our number one ally, and we have to absolutely support it, which then starts sounding a little bit deep statey and leaves people like me going, hey, what's going on with this guy? All right, let's take a moment and thank our next sponsor for today's episode, YoKratom.com, home of the $6 kilo. Only place in the entire world. You can get an entire kilo of Kratom for just $6, and if you act fast, they might still have their Thanksgiving special going on, which is you can get 2 kilos of Kratom for $50 each. Fact check me on that. And that I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they have that promotion going, and it might even still be live. All right, and now let's take a look at, I believe, last topic for today, which is the Hunter Biden pardon. And before we get into the pardon that took place, why not hear Joe Biden just maybe a year ago or a couple months ago commenting on whether or not he will pardon his son. Let's give it a watch.
Your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
You know, Biden's easily confused. You can't hold him to his word, but it did sound like he was saying pretty clearly, hey, I'm not going to pardon my kid. And what he did there is, now he finally did pardon him. And just wait, soon enough when he comes out and he goes, I also am going to pardon my brother. I'll pardon myself and everybody, which would be more fun. It'd be more fun if on the last day he got himself a cordless microphone. He walked down the aisle. Guys, my last day here, and I pardoned my whole family, including me. Just drop the mic, walk off, and be like, you guys all hate me anyways, whatever. Hey, guys, fuck all of you. I did exactly what I was looking to do. We made our money. Now we're out. Peace. Sayonara. But he didn't even do that. I mean, he made everyone look like an asshole. There are other ways that you could have handled it. And you could say, listen, I know that my son is completely innocent. I've stayed out of it, but I just know him as a person. And I understand that he had a troubled past. But we as the Bidens would never engage in the kind of corruption that's being described. And I'm sure he'll be vindicated. And if we get to a point where it looks like he's not and I'm still in office, I will have to really give considerations to my duty as a father, because I know that my son is a changed man and a guilty verdict would not reflect that. And we're not there now, but we'll have. And then at least he could have said something that would at least channel to the media, hey, don't all get on television and make claims, that only him standing and not pardoning his kid is respecting the rule of law, which then you can deduce. You can put on your Sherlock's Holmes hat and say that, according to the media, pardoning him would be Biden not respecting the rule of law. And now they all have to contend with the fact that they were saying, oh, look, Biden's so great. He's so much different than Donald Trump. He respects the rule of law. And then they all get called out for being liars. And just once again, they got to get caught. And I guess they don't care. I guess they've just made enough money getting their marching orders, repeating whatever they have to say. But, you bitched out your entire team. You bitched out your entire side. Look at the mess that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have left for the Democratic Party. I mean, the fact that all Democrats aren't more outraged, that they aren't on my level of just like, if you're a Democrat, you should be pissed at these people. Joe Biden completely bitched out everybody with the whole rule of law thing, and that now they all have to contend, oh yeah, Joe Biden is a liar. He clearly lied. He said, I will respect it. And then he turned around, didn't respect it. And he did it in like the grossest way of, well, the Justice Department is corrupt. Oh, really? The Justice Department will investigate people because it's corrupt? You're saying your own Justice Department is going? Are we going to start investigating Merrick Garland? Is that what you're trying to say? Are you just going to wait? So you think the Justice Department's corrupt and it goes after political enemies? You don't think that's what happened when you guys were doing that with Donald Trump? And then you're also going to leave office and not do any sort of investigation into the corruption that led them to bring charges against your kid? I mean, if you're in charge of this thing and you got a couple months, wouldn't you want to uproot that corruption? Wouldn't that be a quintessential role for a leaving president? You're just going to uproot the corruption as it benefits you, but you're going to do nothing to try and fix the system that you're now willing to call corrupt? Very low of the guy. But now, if you're a Democrat, you got to contend with the fact that the donors don't want to back the party. They're still getting calls from Kamala Harris like, hey, can you cover some of this? I spent a little too much money on planes and hanging out with celebrities that didn't actually like me. And then they also got to contend with, on the way out, making a mockery of the rule of law and letting everyone know, yes, I am a liar when it serves my interests, which I knew. We called it earlier. I knew that this guy was going to pardon his kid. That was pretty obvious. Someone actually tracked down a clip because I didn't remember saying it, but there was a clip on Part of the Problem where Dave asked me what my prediction was, and I said Joe Biden loses the election and pardons his kid. And if you're out there, if you can cut more clips of when I'm right, I mean, just delete all the other stuff. I had this as a quote in my 8th grade yearbook. If at first you don't succeed, erase all evidence that you tried. And I stand by that. I talk a lot of shit here, so, maybe there's a 50% accuracy score, but someone could just start cutting those clips and putting that out in the world, and then people think I'm right all the time. And, sometimes that's all you have, is going, hey, I was right. Put that on my gravestone. And then have the tally of the things I was right about. And, who knows? I don't think people are going to be visiting my gravestone. No one cares. No one cares about what you did. You work real hard to pretend and try and feel like you're important. It's only a matter of time before you're irrelevant and nobody cared. There's a juncture of time in which you hit that. Unless you raped enough people like Genghis Khan or conquered a bunch of shit like a Napoleon, at some point you will become irrelevant. And everything you did won't actually matter. I'm sorry if this is breaking news. But you can have your little moments in life where you go, I was right. And that feels nice. It feels nice in those moments. And so if you're out there, if you want to cut more of those moments, put them out on the internet, I encourage you to do so. Did I have anything else on this? Oh, yeah. I was also predicting that perhaps you'll have people going, well, when Biden said he wasn't going to do it, that's when he was of full mind. Now that he's old and he's got dementia, he made a mistake and he pardoned his kid. And they'll be like, are you saying you shouldn't run the country? And it's like, nah, he made that decision on one of the bad days. And then I'm also looking forward to, at some point, the Hunter Biden press conference where he goes, after a win this big, I've taken a look at my life and the changes I need to make, and that's why I'll be returning to crack. I look at all the good things crack manifested into my life, and I realized, hey, I'm a winner, and that's when my artwork really speaks to me, and the little bubbles and dots really make sense. And so after really reviewing what I've accomplished so far and realizing that I am the most prolific crackhead and luckiest person of all time, I'm going to be going back to my roots and the thing that got me this far. It's like when in the Rocky movies, you had to go back to the dirty, grungy gym because you were in the nice gym. Everyone was taking photographs. It was getting in the way, and you had to go old school. And so I look forward to that when Hunter Biden's going, we're getting back to what was working. And then this is from the Wall Street Journal. For more coverage on the Hunter Biden pardon, which I know no one's heard anything about this topic yet. In his statement, the president said it was clear his son had been treated differently by the Justice Department. Once again, the honor of Joe Biden, that is president, he's recognizing that the Justice Department can be corrupt and treat people unfairly, and so of course he's going to look into that. Let's continue. By the Justice Department and singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong. The president's pardon of Hunter was particularly broad, covering offenses which he has committed or may have committed or taken part dating back to the beginning of 2014, that year the younger. And then here was the last thing that I highlighted. The president said that once he made the pardon decision over the weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. But I guess once again, if it's just a function of the corruption and not the function that, you know, you just love your kid and you don't want to see him be in jail before he gets the dementia that you have, that last piece shouldn't even be relevant. All right, and just a couple more things. Now, of course, you've got, I can't remember his name, but the guy who's been investigating him the whole time, who sounds like a cattle rancher, who's firstly, he's making the mistake of going, well, now we're going to go after Jim, we're going to go after the other ones. It's like, keep your mouth shut. If you're actually going to do that, why poke Joe to give those people a pardon? And firstly, Biden's not going to be around pretty soon, and he'll be full-scale dementia, so good luck prosecuting him and actually unearthing the corruption. For the amount of time that you guys went after him, you never actually showcased Joe Biden's corruption in any real way. Sure, you got the Bobolinsky, the real guy, and you've got the transferring payments, but I don't know. You guys never presented it in such a clear-cut way that there was outrage, even amongst the Democrats going, hey, we can't have this kind of corruption in government. So I'll believe it when I see it, but here you have it, them claiming, hey, we do have evidence of crimes, and we're going to continue to pursue it. They didn't manage to pull it off the last couple of years, so I don't see it happening, but here we go.
James Comer.
Comer.
Do you believe other Biden family members committed crimes? And do you believe that a new attorney general, if they are upholding the law, it would be within their jurisdiction to go forward with indictments? And what about Joe Biden himself?
I got a deer
I
over here,
believe two other Biden family members definitely and knowingly committed crimes. In addition to Hunter Biden, you have Jim Biden and Joe Biden. Joe Biden obstructed my and Chairman Jordan's investigations. He lied multiple times. He lied about his knowledge and involvement. We had sworn testimony from Bobolinsky and Devin Archer that said that Joe Biden knew all along what was going on. He was selling the brand, his brand. He was selling access to our enemies around the world. And he lied, just like Jim Jordan said in the debate about the laptop. And he lied when he said he wasn't going to pardon his son. So, yes, Joe Biden, in my opinion, has committed crimes. Jim Biden, we saw he took in all these loans. He didn't pay any interest, didn't pay any principal, had no loan documentation. At what point do those loans become income? They never paid taxes on. And by the way, why did he get those loans? What was he doing? All the people that wired money to the Bidens were shady characters, either adversaries.
There you go. The cattle rancher saying that he's still on the case. Hopefully, but one of those things, I'll believe it when I see it. All right, one last sponsor for today's episode. Go to sheathunderwear.com, actually just sheath.com. Bobby the Bank got the big bucks, was able to buy the direct domain, sheath.com. I swear by Sheath Underwear. And if you're going to be partaking in winter sports, let me tell you, you want that moisture wicking. You don't want to be out there sweating into your Fruit of the Looms and it bunching up your ass crack and freezing against your nuts. You don't want that to happen to you. So you go to sheathunderwear.com, you get yourself the greatest underwear that's ever graced the balls of man. If you use promo code RYM, you get yourself 20% off. But I bet the Thanksgiving sale might be going on, and I was seeing it in my emails. They had some big sales going on. So right now, we're coming to the end of the show. You go to sheath.com, and you can go check out what sales and promotions they still have, plus the winter gear coming up. I love those long johns. If you're doing anything that's out in the cold, those Sheath Underwear long johns are the greatest thing that will have ever happened to you. Even if, like, you lost your virginity this year and won the lottery, and you try those Sheath long johns, you're going to go, hey, I think these long johns might be better. I'm going to make bold claims like that. Ah, shit, it's another statement from the lawyer that you can't make claims that bold during an ad. You know, this new media landscape where you got to forcefully read statements from the lawyer. Oh, and no, okay. Anyways, last topic here. Guys, I got a non-paid position for hire, which is I would like to do a segment on the show called Best of Blue Sky, because a lot of these idiots and freaks, they're bouncing off of Twitter, and we don't get to watch their meltdown videos. We don't get to see them shaving their heads, saying that they're not having sex, putting on their blue-haired wigs, and slapping on a pussy so they can read a book to a kid. And that's the kind of freak show that they leave the lunchroom and you can't make fun of them because then you don't know what they're doing. So if somebody wants to get on Blue Sky and waste your whole life scrolling it the way that I do Twitter so you can collect the best of Blue Sky, robsnewsroom@gmail.com. Or maybe you're a tech guy and you're good at algorithms, but, you know, I'd like to keep some tabs on what's going on at this Blue Sky because apparently it's gotten so popular that Ocasio-Cortez already has 1 million followers over there. And then also, if someone wants to go down the archive and start collecting all the incidents of me being right so that we could parade it on Twitter and celebrate the Rob is Right section, here was someone clipped this. And there's more moments. Listen, I do like 5 hours of talking shit every week, so even if I'm only right 50% of the time, there's a lot of clips of some accurate predictions. So here we go to close out the show. If someone wants to track down more clips like this and share them on the internet, I would appreciate it.
Anyway, I don't know. Do you care to offer a prediction? What do you think's going to end up happening with Hunter Biden?
Joe loses the election and pardons him before he goes to jail.
It's not a terrible prediction.
Joe has said that he will not be pardoning him, but I call bullshit on that. There you go. Someone can just go track down all those moments. I don't have a wife that I get to be like, yeah, see, I was right. So this is all I got, is little moments like that. All right, anyways, that is our episode. Thank you for hanging out. Like I said, I'm going to have some new show links up soon. This wasn't a bad time. We got 5 people in the live chat. That's maybe this is a good hour. Better than the middle of the day. I prefer middle of the day, but in terms of people checking out the show. All right, Runaway Slav. Can't have a blue sky when they dump chemicals in the sky. Morris something, Rob Tradamus, Anarcho Rico, haha, nice episode. Thanks, Robbie. You're welcome. Runaway Slav, just throwing out there, Scott Horton. I got to hit him up when I'm out in Austin. Maybe do some sort of a podcast. Jim Wells saying that calling Robbie a big baby fist retard that's just cruel. Politics are uplifting. You heard? Both of those things could be. I could be a baby-faced retard, and politics can be uplifting. Both those things can be true. C-Step, hey, Robbie. Hi, back to you. Frank Stone, Biden is worried about the frogs. That's just science at that point. All right, last one. Weak Sauce. What is that Tyler Durden-style cigarette burn in the bottom left every 30 or so? My eyes aren't that fast. Freaky. I don't know. That is our episode. Back next week, probably. I don't think I'm doing a weekend episode. Back next week.